All right, folks. Let's just this week is going to be looking over the midterm exam, which I have to say was tough. And I got to say the main reason that I think everybody had problems is you simply didn't read. And I don't mean to be difficult about this, but no matter what job you plan on doing, whether it's a designer or developer or any other field, really, you're going to have to figure out a way to be able to read requirements for what your job entails, for what tasks, especially important ones, entail, even if the directions are long or complicated. So here were the directions for the midterm exam. I think it was pretty clear. A short video, and here were the specifications. I you know, you needed a video, and your folder should contain the FLF file, the linked video file, and a video player Swift. And I don't think anybody did this the first time around. And here is a tip for perhaps helping you learn how to accomplish tasks in a professional way is to print them out and check them off. So here you could have looked at your folder before you zipped it and said, hey, does my folder contain an FLA file and a video file with a video player Swift? Where's my MP4? Where is my FLA file of the animation and the video player Swift? And you know, this was really exactly what we did in assignment 6 2 weeks ago, where we took your week 5 animation and made a video player, encoded the video, and created a playback Swift. So do what you need to do, but you know, some of you did a nice animation and you got a terrible grade on this exam because this right here was not followed. And you know, I'm open to feedback about what was confusing. That's fine, but I'm saying this for your benefit. Really, you need to be able to articulate and follow requirements in whatever job you have. It's just so important. Let's look at the exam itself. What I really wanted to receive was this sort of folder structure: the FLA of your animation, your optimized video, and the Swift that I double click on and it just plays the video. This is the kind of thing that your client would be expecting to receive. And most of the time, if I even got a video player or a video, it simply didn't play. And most of the time because you, again, used the absolute path to some C drive on your computer, which will not play on anyone else's computer. And we covered that in week 6 in the intro to week 7. So if you still do not understand absolute versus relative paths, a very important point in any kind of computer-related design, then reach out again, look at the intro video for week 7, and make sure you understand that. So for this week, we're going to sort of tackle some of the issues that I saw pervasive throughout the different submissions. For example, and I'm going to write these on the actual assignment 9 lesson, but here are the things that you need to go back to your file and look at and make sure that you're not doing. So here, point number 1, you need to make sure your layers are named and that you do not have symbols like this that have no name. Symbol 1 is not an acceptable name for a symbol you create. That's the generic animate name for a symbol when it's created, but this should be called snowman, for example. And your layers too should be named. Here it's been done well. All right, so point number 2, generic tweens. What is a generic tween? This is what happens when you, for example, when you take an object and you essentially tween it without making it into a symbol. So here I have a drawing object, and for example, I'll add another keyframe, and I'll move it over here, and I'll tween it. All right, so now what Flash has done is it's gone in, Animate has gone in and created, made these into symbols for you, but it's created these generic tween objects. So long story short, the first thing you do when you create an object, a drawing object, is you make it into a symbol, convert to symbol, and you call it something. And now you can tween it or do what you want with it. So that's point number 2. You need to, I want in your assignment 9 to get your midterm file and see, and if you have any of these generic tween objects, I want them to be gone. So no generic tween objects in your library. You've created symbols out of all your objects. Okay, so number 3 is no unnecessary keyframes, because these add actually size to your file, and there could be a time when you want your file size to be low. No extra keyframes and no excess frames. So here we have a situation where we have simply an image, and we have tons of keyframes for this image, and there's absolutely no reason for these to be keyframes. So because the image doesn't change, there's no updating that goes on. So I can just remove all these keyframes, and it'll be fine. So all you need is that one keyframe. And also we have this image here, or this symbol here, and it was actually a movie clip symbol, and we have numerous keyframes for this one too, which are absolutely not necessary because it's all playing inside this movie clip. So again, we can remove these keyframes, and in fact, because this is a movie clip, we've got more keyframes here. Because this is a movie clip playing inside, we don't even need any of these frames. We can simply delete all these frames, because they're not necessary for this animation to play. So if I run this, it still plays fine. Now, what this person might have wanted to do is, I'm going to revert this back to the original state, is perhaps make this movie clip symbol into a graphic symbol. And I'll get rid of these keyframes because they'll just start it over again. Remove clear keyframe. And now what's nice about this is you can actually see the action take place on your timeline by scrubbing it, as I've made this into a graphic symbol. And then that might be useful because you can easily sync other graphic symbols to the action happening in this graphic symbol. So in that case, it would be good to leave all these frames, because as we remember, a graphic symbol to play on the timeline needs to have all its frames visible. But you have to sort of make the decision. Is it going to be a self-contained movie clip and all the action takes place inside, in which case I would not see on the timeline what's happening, see? And that's in which case I only need one frame. So kind of make that decision when you're designing your animation. Here again, we see the naming of the symbol. These are really unacceptable symbol names. So these would have to be, you can call this X, or call this text, or call this face, whatever you want, but I don't want to see any more of these generic symbols. I want these to be named, so when you come back, or another designer comes back to your project, they know what they're looking for. So here we see we need to get rid of excess frames and keyframes. We need to make sure the library objects, the symbols, are named in a coherent fashion. And another thing we could do here, if I go into our actual movie clip, it's kind of getting a little bit of a mess here. Why not? We have all these avatar layers, why not create a folder, call it avatar, and put all our avatar layers in there. And then when we're done not working with that, it's just a lot cleaner. So that's another thing we can do. If you have not been using folders, please put your excess frames layers into a folder and sort of clean up your project so it looks professional and neat and easy to use. Another thing I'd like to look at is how to really group your objects together. And this is going to become more important as we move forward. Let me just revert this back to its original state. And what this person does is uses a lot of grouping. And grouping is really not the animate way to go about things. What we really want to be doing is creating symbols and symbols. So here we have the face, this is great that you have the eyes and all this connected in a single object, but it's not a symbol, it's a group. And therefore, let's say, and that's a group too. And I go in here and I'm finding more groups, and then it gets to another group. And this is just not the way to work. What you want to do is create perhaps a face symbol, and then in the face symbol on separate layers you can put each eye and the eyebrows. And then let's say what we're going to be doing for the rest of the semester is using code to target different parts of our objects and giving them names, and you can't do that with groups. So I want anybody who uses groups in this way to go back, break the groups up, and create symbols of your group. So here, for example, all this, you can make all this into, convert to symbol into a face graphic, right? And then inside the face graphic, you break this up and make it into separate layers. Name your layers. This could be so, and so on. So these are the changes I'd like to see for those of you who still haven't fulfilled this requirement. I gave everybody tons of chances and feedback to correct your exam, which I think is actually rather unusual for an exam. But I really do want you to do well. I would love to give everybody A's on this. I'm not an instructor that takes pleasure in showing how hard my courses are, but I can't impress on you enough the need to be able to read requirements for a project and follow them. It's just the foundation of any good professional approach to things. So get your feedback. Get me your updated submissions. Essentially, assignment 9 is simply making the changes as needed to your submission.